We're glad you're watching. My name is Justus, and in studio with me is Pastor Musema, who is the leader of the Adventist Church in North-East Congo attached territory. What are some of the features? What are some of the things that you identify with around NECAT?
Well, of course, when you hear about NECAT, you know, this is Eastern Congo, and headquarters being Goma. This is media talks about Goma. One would say now that's Great Lakes region.
Yes.
We are just neighbor to Rwanda Union. For tourism, you know, what we used to call, let's say, the Virunga Park. Mm-hmm. That used to be a very interesting place for seeing the various species, the wildlife, and this volcano. It's also where we have the Nyiragongo volcano, which really destroyed, of course, part of the city, Goma city. That's in 2001. But I think, despite it, there are other challenges which sometimes people would associate with the church work. You know, when you talk about this political situation, economic situation, yeah, sometimes people can just, you know, they want to hear, they want to look at, because maybe it raises questions. But please don't associate that situation with the growth of the work and with the God's work, because God is really performing miracle in North-Eastern Congo attached territory.
Irrespective of the challenges, political or natural, challenges like the volcanoes, the work of God is...
Yes, Brother Justice, that is true. God is really in control. Irrespective of those challenges, political, economic, name it what, even, but the church is growing.
That's so encouraging, Pastor.
It's amazing. This is not an individual work, because, the work of God is under his hands.
Yes.
It does not depend on conditions, because he is the one who knows the time and how his work will be done. If his servants, he has put in place work under his leadership, not under individuals' motion or whatever call it, but it's God's leading. Otherwise, we could not experience the growth we have seen.
Some people even think that it's not possible to conduct an evangelistic campaign in Goma anymore.
No, for God there is no limit. Do you think God cannot operate in the midst of calamities, in the midst of crisis? Just let me give you just two examples. Recently, before I came to these media meetings, the other Sabbath, I had just launched an evangelical meeting in one of the Goma area, where you have the highest concentration of population. For those who have been there, they know what they call a Birere area.
Yes.
That is a business area, but we have highest concentration of population there. And the place which was rent, it was full to capacity. And people were standing, other people, and this will take place, so it will last 2 weeks. And as we live here, the Evangelist Committee will close on 18th, so I will again go to the closing of that meeting. That was one case, but 2 weeks before, there was another evangelical meeting conducted in Himbi Church. And not far from there, they planted immediately a church where the meeting were conducted by the mission president, Pastor Bashira. So the result was more than 50 people were baptized. You can imagine. Despite what people hear, but God is working miracle in the city of Goma. So we should say that God is really in control and is helping his church to move forward.
So in other words, these challenges are real, yet God is still doing his work.
That is true.
And God's work is going on irrespective of what we, humanly speaking, would think are impossibilities or things that can't really work out.
That is true. That's we should say that God works in situations where no one can believe. And that's the time when we say, in God, there's no impossibility.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no impossibility.
I remember, Pastor, we talked about this some times back, about the effects, for instance, of the volcano. And when everyone was looking at the situation in Goma and thought it was over, Even the church lost a lot of property. And yet, when you go there now, the level of growth in vis-a-vis the situation that the church was in then, you would really won't be able to associate that to any man's work, but you'd really see the hand of God in what people thought was a hopeless situation.
Yeah, that's right. You just give the word. You know, people have hope.
Yes.
You know, you just wonder when the volcano erupted and it flew all over and took at least quite a big section of the city, destroying houses under the lava. One could say this city, no one is going to come back. But for those who visit the place, I hope you have visited the place recently.
Yes.
You can't believe. If people can have hope, I don't know. They've built, they've put up facilities, and even some road construction is taking place. But you just say now, these people, they could not fear what happened. They almost forget. That's the other side of the coin.
Yes.
People sometimes forget. But I think that can give us a lesson that this world we are living in will come to an end. Despite what people are doing, they should not forget that this world will come to an end. And God is the one in control. But anyway, people have hope. And that rebuilding can give us a hope in a new future, which will be better than what we are living in. Even if we are living in a crisis time, we hope there will be a better time.
And I know, Pastor, it is out of this hope that you've mentioned that currently, actually, there has been a lot of development. There has been a lot of urban development. Towns are coming up, and more people are moving to urban centers. As a church, are there initiatives or programs that you're undertaking to be able to reach to these multitudes, these people who are flocking to urban centers?
Yeah, thank you so much. We really, the World Church has initiated some of these programs which have really impressed, from the division all the way down to the unions and all the way down to the districts, fields and so on. We have really impressed this program. Why? It is true. Go to Great Lakes region, and especially Eastern Congo. You see that there is a flow of population. They are immigrating, leaving the rural areas, just for the sake of safety, sake of justice. At least in urban centers where people are more, they feel a little bit more secured.
Yes.
Now, there's been a flow of people leaving rural area, going to the urban centers. And if we look at the urban centers we have in our territory, more than 10, just the biggest of it, so the highest of these, Bukavu, with more than 1 million population. That is South Kivu. You have Goma, close to 1 million too. Butembo, almost 800,000 people. You go to, now Kisangani, this is the third largest city in Congo. So it takes almost more than almost 3 million people. It comes after Lubumbashi if it is not the first or second. But so we have big urban centers, and we believe these people, they need to know the word of God and Jesus Christ as their Savior.
Yes.
And that's why we have impressed the urban evangelism program, because we want to reach out to the people living in the city. But we need strategies. That's why we say now we may not embrace every place. And for 2014, just like the ECD has focused Kinshasa this year, 2013, NECAT has taken a vote that we are going to Bukavu, turn it down for Christ. Change the city, plant churches, and we hope Bukavu will be different from what it was before. Initially, it used to have only 2 or 3 churches. But with this plan, currently there are already more than 10 locations where people worship God on Sabbath. So it is a major concern that we need to reach out to people living in cities. And I'm sure that's where we have people, once they have embraced the gospel, they can easily, we don't forget, of course, the rural areas.
Yes.
It might be easier from urban centers to reach out to people living in rural areas. Yeah.
I understand also that you're not only limiting yourself to conventional methods of evangelism, but you also gone a step ahead to use some of these non-conventional methods of evangelism. For instance, you're working on centers of influence to be able to use them as tools for evangelism. Tell us more about this.
Justice, I should say that mission approach takes a direction following also the pace, the time, the epoch we are living in. Of course, there are what we call traditional methods. Now there are other methods coming in these days. But I think that, preaching from the gospel has its benefit.
Yes.
But there are people who don't come to the church to listen to the sermon. There are people in the street. So we thought that having a kind of, a place we may call now, as we have a program which is really impressed throughout the whole world in the church, center of influence. No matter small it may be, but it may bring people to address to their needs so that in the way they eat, you can teach them what's the healthful food, what type of, now not only that, there are some people who have never known that exercising is healthy. We don't only address the soul, we don't only address, but we also take care of the body. This is very important. How do people exercise? It affects, if you are sick, mentally, spiritually, it also affects. These are people, we live in a traumatized place. People are traumatized. People have lost their family members because of war and this and that. Refugee, it's not easy at all. So people need some program that can comfort them. So there I'm talking about counseling, They need program of counseling. If we have a place where people can come, it will be part of, let's say, welcoming those people, giving them hope. And we believe that the center of influence, with the different programs that can run therein, will give hope to the people. And it addresses the way of living, because the church not only is addressing spiritual, but spiritual is holistic, because the physical, the mental, spiritual, all this go together. And we need to address the other area, because we have been looking too much maybe from the pulpit, but we have other methods to use.
And of course, there is the other project that you're working on of distributing the book, Great Hope. How far have you gone with this?
Well, brother, I should say that is a major evangelistic method we have to use. Initially, we have set a goal. We want to distribute 1 million books, Great Hope. And of course, in the course of time, we have seen how far we have been, because this had to be for 2 years, of course, as you know it. But actually, we started when the books arrived, because we did not print them locally, but we had to order them. So when they arrived, we set on work. We gave goals to every field. And the first order we had ordered from the ECD Publishing Association, it was 36,000. But out of the 36,000, we have already distributed more than 20,000 books. And now we've said, no, we need now to assess our method of mobilization, sensitization, so that we may be able to distribute as many books as possible. Recently, we have taken a decision to order more books. In fact, we said, now let's try with another, because we don't only use Kiswahili, we also use French. So recently, we have passed on another order of more than 50,000 books in French, and then 14,000 books in Kiswahili. So this is now, we need to see how we'll cover this with much more mobilization in buying, because the books have to be bought by the members. And it is a blessing when a member buys a book and he gives out freely. It is a blessing. You've received freely, give. You know, it is a blessing when you can share this book, Great Controversy, which we have called now Great Hope. It has an impact on the life of people. Those who have read it, they can testify. Personally, I've done it. It has a great, great impact in my life.
There is something else that I've observed, and this is the use of radio ministry. Radio as a tool for evangelism within your territory. How effective has this been, if you may bring us up to speed?
Well, this is another strategy coming with modern technology. You know, we need to go a new move in that direction, because we cannot do otherwise.
Yes.
Secular institutions are making use of media, and efficiently. Now, why not the church look at this new move towards technology? That's why we value media in our territory. As of now, we have already 3 operating FM stations. We have one in Goma, what we call Radio Sauti ya Matumaini. We do have another one in Kisangani, 3 Angel Messages. Then we have another one, Radio Adventist Rwese, that is in North Kivu Feed in Rwese. The impact these are giving, it's tremendous, because they reach where the evangelists cannot reach. They have a wider audience you cannot believe. Right from a program which is given, because in Goma, we operate 24 hours. And we have we link with the Tanzania Morning Star
Radio.
And it has been great. There are even evangelism being as a result of radio program. So we think that whatever level we are at this time, we have to use, and we use it, because the contribution of the people sending messages, contributing to programs. There are even some, volunteers who come to the radio station to present some programs on health. There are pastors and other people presenting on family life. There are other people coming on, how to make a living. Of course, spiritual subjects like preaching and so on. Evangelical meetings. There was even some of our pastors conducting a series of evangelical meetings through the radio. So the result is tremendous. So
there are people who have given their life to Christ as a result of these radio stations?
Yes, definitely. And they have even given testimonies. It is wonder how people, because radio, it reaches even your bedroom. It reaches even in the market, even in his shamba. He can go with his small radio set and follow the message. So it is a great potential.
For us to do better than we are doing, what are some of the things that we should adopt as a church?
Well, I should say that as a church, there are 2 ways of looking at what are the expectations. Within the church members would like to see the church in this direction. But outside, there are outside people who would like who look at the church. Yes. And in fact, they assess the church. So now, I would say, question number 1, we as members, are we really confident at the level where we are? Are we facing challenges within the church, administration, church members at large? Aren't there any challenges we face? We need to look at these issues and answer to the expectation of us as members. And when this is sorted out, then step number 2, we need to see now what are the expectations of people from outside.
Yes.
Are we have received Jesus Christ as our master? Are we going also horizontal? Vertical and then horizontal. The gospel is not just a theory. The gospel is not summarized within the 28 fundamental beliefs or from, no, it has to be lived. So it is theory and practice. How do we live our Bible? How do we live our gospel so that the people who are not church members between court, who are outside, they would have a great expectation, say, okay, now this is the church. Jesus Christ incarnated within the community. That's from above. He came here on earth. I'm not preaching anyway, but he wanted us to be incarnated within the community.
Yes.
How are we incarnated within the community? That's the question. So within the church, we need to assess. And now, how are we looked at? How do people view us, those who are outside? And I think it is important. Just as the pattern, Jesus Christ who came to incarnate in the world, and they knew Jesus Christ, he said, you are the salt, you are the light of the world. That's what he did. So the church today, we need to look at those two aspects, from within and from outside. And fortunately, that's the reason why I think revival and reformation is needed. Revival within, so that we'll be able to revive outside. We need to be transformed.
Yes.
How can you give what you don't have? Justice. How can you give what you don't have? So this is the reason why revival and reformation has come to the right time. Because believe it or not, some members may say, well, if they see the church, some come, and you see some going from small back door. Why do they leave the church? They should not. You are in the hospital, you are healed. How then you say, no, I don't need the hospital anymore? And now, people who are outside, they should have a role model saying, this is the church. And I believe that is God's ultimate purpose, to say the Seventh-day Adventist Church has to work the role model. And people will say, this is the church, you have a God, will follow you. It is a big responsibility indeed. And when I think about it, sometimes you lose your sleep. Well, that's quite appropriate, because we have to be concerned about what we need to share among us and what are the expectations from people outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
What keeps you going?
Humanly speaking, their situation, my brother, you may say, no, this, well, I rather turn back.
Yes.
More like a Jonah. But I say, no, well, God knows and he trusts me. I believe when he gives you the assignment, he gives you the capacity of fulfilling it, provided you trust in him.
Your final word, Pastor.
Well, my final word is, let's pray for NECAT, this new attached territory. And despite the challenges he goes through, everybody knows that, but no, God is leading. And pray for NECAT.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Asante.
Asante sana.